Last week, the Jet Brigade returned. While it was the sixth time this sub-faction has come back, this time was different. This time they came with jetpack variants of Devastators and the Hulks, and had split into two parts instead of just being one force. They were back with a vengeance, and we needed to stop them. However, it's important to remember that the Jet Brigade was the first sub-faction, introduced back in October of 2184 during the DSS arc, and they've also, as said before, appeared 6 times. So now I think it'd be a good time to explain all these appearances of the Jet Brigade, as well as why it was created and how to fight them, because due to their new units, they can be one of the most intimidating forces in the game. For starters, the Jet Brigade units, despite being intimidating and putting up an insane amount of pressure, they're very easy to kill, due to their jump packs being super weak. For starters, the basic unit, the jetpack troopers, used to be very weak to laser weapons. For some reason though, they can't pop the jetpacks easily now. I don't know what happened, must have been a shadow nerf, but now the dagger is not the most effective secondary to the Jet Brigade. However, there are a couple replacements. The Senator one-shots these enemies and has potential to pierce through one enemy to hit another one behind it. Another good weapon for these things is the Dominator, since it can both one-shot and pierce similar to the Senator, which makes it good for killing groups of these things. Now, you don't really need to bring anything specific for these things, any weapon is good for them. However, if you find them annoying, bring these things. The next unit is actually more of a threat. The Jetpack Devastator puts up a lot of pressure, both with their jetpacks and with their faster fire rate on their main weapon. This hardware update only comes to the basic version of the Devastator, so you'll still encounter heavy and rocket Devastators while fighting the Jet Brigade. While these things can be killed like a normal Devastator, they are especially weak to explosive weapons. The Scorcher can 5-shot these things, while the normal devs take around 7 to 10 shots. The reason for this is that the jetpack is extremely volatile, so explosives which can damage the jetpack from the front are far more effective against this elite faction. Their final new unit is the Jetpack Hulk, turning this game from a shooter into a horror game. The flying piece of pre-scrap is ready to kill. It comes in both flamethrower and bruiser variants, and rushes Helldivers down, especially in the flamethrower variant. The jetpack covers the yellow things on the back, making you think that you won't be able to kill it with something that isn't AP4. That's where you're wrong though. The jetpack is medium armor, making you completely unable to kill it with light pen. But let's be real, you ain't bringing AP1 and AP2 to the bot front. However, the most important part is that the jetpack is visible from the front, so you can kill this thing very easily with medium pen, by aiming above its main body and the fins, I guess, of the backpack. So now that you know how to fight the Jet Brigade, let's see how the automatons made this faction in the first place. There were two major hints at the Jet Brigade before its release, and even before the DSS arc itself. The first one was Operation Titanium Belt. This was the operation to defend Imber from automaton attacks. The reason they were attacking Imber in the first place is that Imber had a titanium storage deposit. It was even theorized by High Command that the automatons would use this titanium to make an elite strike force, which the Jet Brigade certainly are. Ultimately, this MO was a success for us, and it allowed us to extract the titanium from the planet, and delaying the Jet Brigade's creation. The next clue was during Operation Freedom's Forge, the one which was to liberate Claurel and turn into the Deep Mantle Forge. Once we freed Claurel and decommified the forge, we found out that the automatons built the forge to make a new type of alloy, an exceptionally light metal, meant for armor plating. The automatons at this point were only weeks away from debuting the Jet Brigade into the galactic map, and thus bringing us to the third and final part of this video, the history of the Jet Brigade, starting off with Jet Brigade 1. After amassing Ojuhei for a week, they were ready, and they attacked Matar Bay with the single biggest invasion level we had seen at the time, a level 40 invasion. During this major order, the rules for the Jet Brigade were established. The more damage we do to the planet's zone, the less level its next invasion campaign will be. For one day, we all collectively fought on Matar Bay, and while unfortunately losing the planet, we did enough damage to bring the level of the next invasion on Martail down to a level 28 invasion. While unfortunately still being lost, blood was drawn from the Socialist, and now we were ready to slay it on Marfark, which was where they attacked the next day. In a nail-bitingly close finish, with literal minutes to spare, we defeated them. The Jet Brigade had been destroyed, the Major Order was won, and construction efforts for the DSS could continue, while the Jet Brigade was rebuilding for a second attack. Jet Brigade amassed on Vernon Wells and immediately put the previous one to shame by attacking Tars with a level 58 invasion. Tars was destined to fall, but again, during the first invasions, our goal is to damage it, not destroy it. When Tars fell, the Jet Brigade then attacked Maestia with a level 47 invasion. Not good, but things are looking better now, as our DSS came online during the last few hours of Maestia defense, and funds were being sent to activate its tactical actions. When Maestia fell, it immediately attacked Gulliver. While still having a level 47 invasion, this attack was said to take 2 days for Gulliver to fall. However, the active goal was not to defend Gulliver, it was to gambit by liberating Maestia. The gambit had a promising start, as planetary bombardment had been activated on Maestia, accelerating its liberation. However, due to the impulses of the DSS to target friendlies, Maestia was 50% liberated by the time Eaglestorm was activated on the DSS, delaying the attack on Gulliver by another day, giving us more time to gambit. However, due to how peak Eaglestorm and the Jet Brigade were, people played on Gulliver, which left us unable to defend the attack on Gulliver, so the planet was lost. However, the Major Order ended while Eaglestorm was active, thus having Gulliver technically still be in our hands by the time the MO was done, so it was counted as a technical success. However, the Jet Brigade still lived on after this order, being the only time the Jet Brigade has lived after its designated Major Order was done. So during the next Major Order, the Jet Brigade attacked Imber with a level 17 invasion, a far cry from what they had sent to Gulliver. Still, instead of defending the attack on Imber, we tried to liberate Gulliver. That failed, however the Jet Brigade by this point was so weak that it physically couldn't FTL to another planet, trapping it on Imber, giving itself its own death sentence, and the Helldivers would administer the lethal injection. Thus the Jet Brigade was destroyed once again. However, their factories were still out there somewhere, still producing more disgusting clankers. Our next goal would be to find them and destroy them before they could rebuild. We got sidetracked with Calamari crew. 4 months after the Jet Brigade's last attack, we had found their factories. Through both a high security database on Matar Bay and the liberation of Chuhe, Jet Brigade's one staging ground, we had found that the Jet Brigade factories were on Short Bay. Long-range scans hadn't shown any Jet Brigade units on the surface, meaning that there was a good chance that if we liberated these factories, we'd get rid of the Jet Brigade for good. We liberated Short Bay. However, when we did, we found that the Jet Brigade had amassed on Menkent and was ready to attack Lezath. However, through expert use of the DSS's orbital blockade, we managed to stop them on Menkent, allowing us to damage them and set up defenses on Lezath. And once they did escape Menkent, we stopped them again using the Eagle Storm. All of this meant that the Jet Brigade would get obliterated before they could even take a single planet. This victory raised morale, as we had both destroyed the Jet Brigade factories and the Jet Brigade itself for good. Jet Brigade 4 and 5 feel like a continuation of a movie trilogy that didn't need any continuation. Starting off with 4, they came during the bots' attempt to retake the creek. They had been built on Aurora Bay with new and improved Jet Brigade factories. After making their way through the automaton planets, they made it to Popeye 9. As they were about to take the planet, the DSS Eagle Storm was activated, stopping the attack and giving us time to win. The automatons became more and more desperate, sending the Incineration Corp and increasing reinforcements and supplies on all Helldiver operations. However, democracy arrived all the same, and Popeye 9 had been defended and the creek was protected once more. Jet Brigade 5 came a little before the Illuminati appearance, and again came from Aurora Bay. Jet Brigade started moving on to Vernon Wells to resend an offensive on Tars, completely taking the planet, and then moving to the Tani sector to take the Murg. The final thing this Jet Brigade did was attack Laurel. However, the second the Helldivers smelt the automatons trying to take our factories, they instantly attacked, both destroying the Jet Brigade and defending Laurel. After that, there was silence until last week. We thought we wouldn't fight the Jet Brigade for a while due to the megacities, however we were proven wrong. Jet Brigade 6 came with a new Jetpack Devastator and Jetpack Hulk, and also split into two different parts instead of just being one force. One Jet Brigade attacked Curia with a level 42 invasion, and the other attacked Beckenham 3 with a level 40 invasion. The majority of the fleet defends Curia, and while both planets are lost, the Jet Brigade that attacked Curia is heavily damaged. So during their next round of attacks, the Jet Brigade that attacked Beckenham 3 attacks Dumatier with a level 38 invasion, and the Jet Brigade that attacked Curia invades Borea with a level 17 invasion. Borea is defended halfway through the day, and the rest of the fleet tries to defend Dumatier. The planet falls and the Jet Brigade attacks Oslo Station with a level 29 invasion. After a ton of fighting, we unfortunately failed to defend the station. However, the next attack on Galvald was extremely weak, so we defended it mere hours after the invasion began, ending this Jet Brigade's reign of terror and keeping our home safe from these flying terrorists for the time being. So just for fun, let's rank all 6 Jet Brigades from worst to best on how much they affected the Second Galactic War. Number 6 is Jet Brigade 3. Both 3 and 4 didn't take any planets, but since Jet Brigade 3 got so fucking humiliated by the DSS, I think it's fair to say that 3 is the weakest Jet Brigade. Number 5 is Jet Brigade 4. It also didn't take any planets, but since it gave us the Battle of Popeye 9, it gets the point over Jet Brigade 3. Number 4 is Jet Brigade 5. It's easily the most forgettable of the Jet Brigades. However, since it did take 2 planets before getting liberated, it's objectively better than 3 and 4. Number 3 is Jet Brigade 1. It also took 2 planets, however, since it is a lot more memorable than 5 and it almost took up a 3rd planet, it's better than 5. Number 2 is Jet Brigade 2. Took 4 planets and nearly destroyed the DSS. Need I say more? Yes, I do. This encounter gave the Jet Brigade the title that it had before Jet Brigade 3 and 4 made it a joke. And number 1 is Jet Brigade 6. Took 4 planets and has more gameplay depth due to the new Jetpack Hulks and Jetpack Devastators. And also splitting into 2 parts is really cool for this sub-faction and has potential to be very interesting. So, that's it for this video. For the next video I'll review the Superman movie, since I have locked myself in Helldivers 2 prison that I need to escape. And what better to start escaping than the film that to start the DCU and rebuild Superman's public image. And final thing before you leave, drink water, eat an apple, talk to your family, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.